I've tried to be mostly fair and balanced with dealing with D&D, but this one probably, this one is a little bit too much even for me. So apparently Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine is going to team up with D&D for a project for Netflix. I know, this sounds nuts and crazy, and it is nuts and crazy, but this is where we are now. So let me give a little background for those who are completely unfamiliar to Rage Against the Machine. Rage essentially is a kind of mashup of a rock band that formed in the early 90s. They became very famous, put out some really great albums, but then broke up in the late 90s and were broken up for a long time. But thanks to, well, basically the return of fascism, they got back together about a decade ago. They are doing a lot of concerts together now. You can dispute what cause they are for and whether you like them or not, whether the Zapatistas, Mumia Abu Jamal, or Independence for Tibet, but I do think you can say overall Tom and the group have been doing things that are consistent with their values. You may disagree with them, but I don't think you can say they're being inconsistent. But this one is really incredible because D&D, which people forget, almost did a show in the Confederacy. I'm really failing to see how Tom could even see why it would be a good idea to team up with these people at all. But again, I want to emphasize this is really a Tom Morello project. This is not a Rage project. And Tom himself has always done things which, again, for the most part, I do agree with. I don't mind him often making the analogy that they are doing something like Noam Chomsky, right? Chomsky has to get into local bookstores, so he has to work with big publishers. He worked at MIT, which was essentially funded by the CIA, but he does books that are very critical of the CIA and its atrocities and its support for genocide in various countries in Latin America, Guatemala, El Salvador, East Timor, and so on and so forth. Criticisms of globalization. I understand his justification, and for the most part, I have no issue with it, but Tom occasionally takes on some stances which I find, not even politically, but just ethically really suspicious. But he also has done some projects which are probably too commercial to be justified. But, I don't mind that. I mean, if he does things with Bruce Springsteen to, fatten his wallet, that's fine. I understand he's doing it for the cause, and he mostly puts it back to good work, so I have no issue with that. But this one is a little bit too much out there. Now, we don't know all the details. Essentially, it's going to be a music project, so they're going to be concentrating on metal music. And to be fair, a little bit to D&D, they have always been sort of musical people. And, I mean, one of them sports a lot of tattoos all over the place. So, there you go. So, in terms of their image, wait, you guys are into rap metal? When did this happen? Well, it's true. I mean, it wasn't really in the show. I mean, I'm sure if they had their way, they probably would have put a lot of Linkin Park at the end. But there you go. It's not totally out of character that they would do something like this. And we do have to recognize the Santee project is sort of in a lot of danger with the producer dead, and I think they're still human beings, so presumably they're trying to cope with that issue. So I understand that for the Netflix deal they have to do things, but I can't for the life of me even see in principle why any fans of either Rage or even them would see this as a good merger or union of their talents. I'm like, why? Just because they're famous, you're famous? What would be the point? Like, Tom did a recent thing with Masterclass. I found that pretty stupid and atrocious too, but at least I'm like, okay, fine, he just wants to make more money. And, he's teaching people guitar. All right, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It still feels a little weird taking money to teach people the guitar. I mean, it's not like you really need to pay thousands of dollars to Tom Morello to learn that. But it's okay, fine. It's fine. He's cashing in on his reputation. It's fine. But this is too much. I can't even see even a devil's advocate argument, I can't even see that. Now, do a Game of Thrones channel, so okay, I'm going to cover this, but I'm going to preemptively say, yeah, don't support this. Don't click on this. Please don't sign up for Netflix to watch this. Please don't. And if you do have a Netflix membership, please stay far, far away from this, because this is how they measure things. Like, well, are you at least interested in seeing this? Maybe we'll give you some more D&D. No, I'm not interested. Not interested at all. I'm still open-minded what their projects are, but this one is insane. This is so insane on so many levels. I'm like, what the hell? I can't even see anyone making a good argument for this. This just seems like totally nuts, and I hope this is one of those rumors and it's not a real official announcement, but I fear it is very real. It will happen and they will do it, and I'm like, wow, okay. So what can I say? I'm actually doing some musical things over at the Partially Examined Kubrick channel, and I've actually done a recent thing on Metallica. So if you do want the information on music as well as some miniature documentaries, I'm going to start doing those. So if you're interested in that, just go over there. I've provided a link below. But in terms of this thing, no, please don't give them any more money. D&D are rich enough. They don't need any more money, and they don't need any more attention. I would even say Tom is fine. He's very wealthy. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the exposure. And I'm sure this is coming from a good place in his heart, but I'm sorry. I usually am like, let's at least give it a chance. I'm like, no, I'm not going to give this a chance. I really am not. So if you want to give money, just buy the old Rage records, buy the old Chomsky books. Hey, even support me on Patreon. I would even say, hey, pay for the early seasons of Game of Thrones. I think that would be at least somewhat ethically justified. But this thing, I'm just like, I can't, I don't know. I'm lost for words. This just feels like I'm living in clown world, frankly. So I can only laugh at this. This is just too stupid or silly or ridiculous. But hey, at least it's interesting news for the day. I'll say that much. All right, this is GRRM and Thrones Analyze on D&D's and Tom Morello's upcoming musical moment, or musical controversy, or just musical madness. That's probably the most apt term. All right, thanks for listening.